and just generally, unattractive women, sometimes even fives, they make it very, very hard for you to spit game at them. They'll play games when you ask for their phone number. They'll shit test you a little bit more. But if you pass those shit tests, their panties fall off almost involuntarily. So I would say, I guess, that's just the way it is. But the reason why is because sixes and sevens want you to think that they have other options. Like, they want you to think they're fucking right. They want you to think that they're a higher value than they are. They want you to think that they're nines or tens. When in actuality, if you're a man with game, you know if a girl is unattractive or not. You use the eyeball test. Fuck statistics. So it sounds to me like what Roger is saying is that black women up north, it's a little harder to get close to them, and it takes a few days, to sort of close the deal. Whereas black women down south, they act all, they're talking out of the side of their neck, but guess what? An hour and a half later, you're hitting it from the back.
Yep.
What I found is that black women in Black America, black women who are on the bubble, we call it being on the bubble. So that's a chick that's a 4, 5, 6. She's on the bubble. Those are the ones that got the highest self-esteem. They're the fours thinking that they're nines. Hence the term 49ers. They're fours thinking they're nines.
I like that too. Yeah, I like that too, for sure.
It's funny, man. There's a type of woman that me and my buddies call Dan girls, right? It's like from afar, you look at them, you're like, damn, like she looks good, but when she gets up close, you're like, damn, that bitch is ugly as fuck. We call them Dan girls.
I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, straight up Dan girl. Yeah.
Professor, are you there? Professor, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I heard somebody say something.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? This is Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I had a real bad connection. I'm trying to get back in. Sorry about that.
Okay, what happened to Mamiya? Is he there?
Obsidian, is he there?
I don't hear him at
all.
all.
Might have seen a damn girl. Like you might have seen a damn girl across the street. He's got to get that confirmation right quick. We can wait on him.
Yeah, one thing I found in New York, it's funny. You can always see a girl who's from the South, and she's going to appear recent because if you walk up and talk to her, she's more willing to talk. A lot of girls here in the city, they've got that. I say, they have those layers. They got that first or that first screen. So that first screen is to be mean mugging and be hard. And if you say what's up, they're not trying to be too receptive. Even though they want the attention, they're not trying to be too receptive. But the Southern girls who come up to New York and work,
I'm back on the line, fellas. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay,
we got you.
Great. Is the professor there?
I'm here.
Okay, excellent. Listen, I wanted to ask you because before we got cut off, you had wrote in your article on the film Fences about the period of the 1950s and the foreshadowing of what was to come insofar as black feminism was concerned. Could you elaborate a bit on that, since we've been talking about the YouTube gender war here that we've been discussing so far?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of your question. What did you say?
You were saying in your article that you wrote on your website about the film Fences, you talk about how the character portrayed by Viola Davis kind of foreshadows what was the come as far as the black feminist movement was concerned.
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, I was saying it's prescient that Denzel has this movie made now, because even though it's written in 1983 and it's focused on the 1950s, it still gives a platform that kind of complements black women. And he knows very clearly, who tends to to watch and consume more media, especially in the black community. So I think in this way, Viola's character kind of plays into that. And she's not an overt feminist as we would see, come about later, post-1970s and 80s. But her little kind of sacrifice and, the kind of portrayal of Denzel's character is really trifling. And she has to tolerate that and to kind of maintain the family. All of that there just really kind of gives, black women this kind of narrative of being this sacrificial, character, and black men being something they have to tolerate. And so in that way, now her strength, so to speak, in that she's willing to do that, is a kind of forewarning, so to speak, of the oncoming feminist movement in that regard. But to me, I'm much more interested in how black men are depicted. You know what I mean? And the piece you mentioned, I'm sure most of you guys remember watching 1993's film Tombstone with Kurt Russell. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good movie. He plays Wyatt Earp. Now, I'm just sitting here flipping through the channels the other night, and I watched it, and I realized that his character was very similar to Denzel's portrayal of Troy in Fences. He's unhappily married. And in many respects, he's coming from a background where his life up to now he's not happy with, and he thought just getting married and living a quote-unquote normal life would make him happy. And he found out that it didn't. And if you guys remember, even though it's an older film, he falls in love with this actress who's everything but normal.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
She's everything but normal.
Yeah, I think Dana Delaney plays the woman who is the actress that he's in love with. So yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. And she's completely against the grain. She's non-conventional and all of that. And he finds really a new life just engaging with her. Well, the same thing is happening with Denzel's character. But if you remember both movies, the difference is that, Kurt Russell's character, Wyatt Earp, gets to move on with his life, and the way the story is told with context and nuance, you actually are applauding him. But when I was sitting in the theater, by the time we get to Denzel toward the end, he's really this kind of villainous figure, that disrespects his wife, and she has to tolerate him, and then he dies, But it's this kind of narrative that black men cannot look for a new relationship, cannot look for a new life without being the bane of some woman's existence. And so one of the things I called out in my piece is that black men should be able, in story at least, to have some nuance, to have some context, to actually be able to change how they feel about a situation and be heard as human beings. You know what I mean? So if you're watching Fences, you notice that he spends the last years of his life womanless and isolated in his own home.
Everybody gets hurt when they get down.
And it's that kind of thing that I'm pointing to, where black men have got to, and this goes back to Obsidian's show, and really all of you, Donovan, I've listened to your show a number of times. I really enjoy it. I've listened to Hardcore Tito. What I enjoy about all of you is you're creating a platform that allows men to actually be able to talk about our lives and not be dismissed. You know what I mean? To actually be able to show the complexity of human beings. And everybody else gets to be complex, especially black women. So when I brought up Insecure, Issa's character cheats on Lawrence, and I'm still to this day hearing women online defending it, asking us to understand how she felt. But if a man has an affair or whatever, he's just a dog. There's no nuance. So, I want to you for the platforms you guys have created, and I just wanted to put that out there to say, look, black men can be more complex. The only problem is August Wilson didn't have this movement happening in 1983 when he wrote this. This movement wasn't happening. So he didn't have anything to tie it into, and we really don't get to hear, Denzel's character talk about what he's going through. He's supposed to sacrifice, give his check every week, and shut the fuck up. And that's it. And I really wanted to hear you guys' opinion on it.
The irony of August Wilson is that he was, I was talking to Ron Wills the other night, and he made the case when we were talking about Issa Rae and Insecure and all that, Black Men Ain't Shit Media, and he said, the precursor to Black Men Ain't Shit Media was W.D. Griffith's Birth of a Nation in 1915. That was the original Black Men Ain't Shit Media. And everything has kind of followed from that point. So now we have August Wilson, one of the most celebrated black playwrights ever in black American history. And he's got this play that's become a big film with a major, lead, both male and female lead. And once again, we got Black Men Ain't Shit Media. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Because Denzel plays a working class blue collar brother, and that is the role of the blue collar brother. The blue collar brother is just like the famous poem by Lord Tennyson. Ours is not to question why. Ours is to do and die.
Do or die.
That's it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have no feelings. In fact, we're almost not human.
Mm-hmm. I think what's worth noting is that I guarantee you that just about every black woman who saw the movie Fences, they don't understand how Black Men Ain't Shit media affects them on a subconscious level. Because I think, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've seen the previews, and there was one scene where Denzel's character says to her, I've been doing something or whatever for 18 years, and she gets all huffy, and I've been standing right here with you. And she's crying, her face is, she's full of angst. In other words, she's full of regret. And what black women don't understand about these kinds of portrayals is that it doesn't, like black women, the way they feel about black men, they can't really express that because they don't really know. But when they watch movies like this, they internalize this stuff, and they almost kind of take it as the gospel truth. And they don't know why they think what they do. But again, and it's movies like this, Tyler Perry movies, that's in your face. But when they see black women when they see black women have to tolerate black men, they don't say, "Oh, wow, I've watched the movie where we have to tolerate black men." It's not like that. It's on a subconscious level, and it affects everything they do. So when they get approached by a black man, they're like, "Oh man, I got to tolerate this nigga now. He's trying to holler at me too." That's the way it is. Black women are too stupid to understand that they're the ones being mind fucked by the Black Men Ain't Shit media, and they're the ones that are losing. They're the ones with the cold fucking beds at night. They're the ones that are at the bottom of the sexual food chain, and they have nobody to blame at this point but themselves and the people that perpetuate this kind of stereotype. It's ridiculous.
It's interesting you say that, Donovan, because Professor Tia San Johnson wrote about that in his article. I want to see if I can try to find that. Hold on a second. Give me a moment. I should have highlighted it. Damn it. Oh, here we go.
Oh, you talking about where go ahead.
Yeah, let me read this passage. It's interesting you say that, Donovan, because Professor Tia San Johnson actually speaks to that very same point that you just raised. So let me read it to you. Professor Johnson writes in his article, "A Brief Observation on Denzel Washington's Vision of August Wilson's Fences and Black Male Infidelity." On his website, he says, "What I noticed is that in this way, both movies are actually quite similar. Both men essentially feel the same, but in popular media narratives, men's pain has to be immediately erased in observation of women's pain and sacrifice. Despite the difference between both characters' race, time period, class status, wealth opportunity, historical existence, and profession, they are nonetheless linked as blue-collar men negotiating society's expectations in regard to manhood. Although Wyatt Earp existed, he's represented in society's expectations represented in this film, and is thus an imaginative fixture, whereas Troy did not exist. But there are many everyday Troys in Black America, whether in the Old West or in 1950s Pittsburgh, PA. Despite being separated by race, neither group of lower-class men control patriarchal standards in society. Nevertheless, in both contexts, these men and many of us viewers learn to defer to women when in conflict. For example, notice in the Fences trailer how Denzel's Troy mentions he's been standing in the same place for 18 years, and Viola's Rose immediately follows with, I've been standing with you. Such a shameful tactic disallows men to actually articulate their own feelings about social obligation and sacrifice, right or wrong. The resulting acceptable form of male emoting is silence. He's supposed to stand in awe of her sacrifice while ignoring his own. That's a very powerful piece right there, Professor. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Well, I appreciate you bringing it up, man, because it's one of the things that I see a lot of. It's a shaming tactic, right? And notice that was one of the lead points of every trailer you saw for Fences, where she has that moment where she silences him with her pain. And that's the way we're being told we have to regard black women's pain. We have to sit in silence and reverence. But at no point do we really understand black men's pain, right? Okay. And I just want to tell you, having written this piece, I've had scores of brothers texting me, writing me, but they do it on the under. Brothers don't really respond to me publicly. But I had one brother, in fact, give me the list of his family from his great-grandfather all the way down to his contemporaries, his own age, of men who have complained about the same thing, sacrificing their entire lives, right, dying much earlier than their wives, and not really being regarded, respected, appreciated, and not having been able to even teach their sons how to express their own pain. So when I saw that scene for the first time, I was moved that he actually was able to say, I've been standing in the same place, because black men have known since slavery what it feels like to not be able to progress to the extent that you want to because of these kind of barriers against you. But to have it dismissed by your own women or by your own family members is a whole different level of really, I would call it abuse, but it's a whole different level.
Yeah, that's debilitating.
Of disregard.
Yeah, that's debilitating. I mean, what I was saying is that's debilitating. To be able to not get support from your own people or even your own family, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, you have to have you really have to have some kind of mental strength or mental fortitude to be able to make it. I mean, whether it's back in the 50s or even today, I mean, you really have to be mentally strong and honestly just not give a fuck about anybody. Because at this point, that's the only way. I mean, that's the only way to make it.
Women are cruel.
Yeah, that's true shit.
I think what we're dealing with now is going on 50 years of media conditioning to the point where most men I run across not only don't know how to express their own pain, we are taught to walk it off. You know what I mean? We're taught to ignore it. Women have had a movement, and I'm not telling y'all nothing y'all don't know. Women have had a movement since the 1970s where they've learned how to articulate it, and they've even weaponized it in many ways.
Yep.
And it still brings about the same response from a lot of brothers, which is silence, because many of us don't even know how to respond to that.
Hence the term weaponized black female fuckery.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it's actually surprising to me that the kind of movements that we're talking about now, whether it's Red Pill, MGTOW, it's surprising to me that it took as long as it did to reach the point it's at now. But it's here, and most of our women do not understand why. Because they've grown up on 50 years of this media conditioning, which centers them and marginalizes us. And they believe that to be the norm. So even now, I'm debating with professors on Twitter, black female professors, who are telling me that even just that small piece I wrote is, what is this professor says to me? She says, I'm calling for black men to benefit from white patriarchy. And the only thing I asked for was that black men have nuance in the stories that we have about us. You know what I mean? That's all I said. We don't have nuance in our characters. When we're bad, we're 100% bad. But other groups, including black women, get to be complicated. You know what I mean? Issa's show is all about complication when it comes to black women. But black men tend to be very one-dimensional. you know. And so those are the kind of things I'm pushing for. I'm just asking the question, can we have nuance? And I think each of the shows that I hear you guys do, you guys are reflecting on different types of brothers from different kinds of backgrounds who are articulating their thoughts. That's the same thing I want to see on screen. And in order for that to happen, we got to support our own media.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it definitely, you know, it was interesting, you know, going back to this whole flying monkey situation. As I'm talking to you right now, I'm actually deleting more flying monkeys from off of my channel, coming from Crystal and the Cowards, you know, YouTube channel. She sent her flying monkeys over here, and all I do is delete, delete. You know, that's all I've been doing is just deleting. And you know, and what it is funny because every time these type of conversations come up, and some sister will say, "Well, black men do it too." I said, "Nope, I'm gonna cut you right there. No, this is not. That's the false equivalency argument. That's the shaming argument. That's to get you to silence you argument. Now I got to call it the fences defense. That's the fences defense. I've been standing here with you too. You haven't been dumping trash every day. Shut up."
Yeah, you know.
True shit.
And I don't let them do that. I refuse. See, this is the thing. A lot, and I'm not saying all black women are this way, but a whole lot of them are this way. A lot of black women.
Yeah, most of them are, bro. Most of them are.
Yeah, a lot of black women don't respect black men's boundaries. So when Denzel says, "I've been standing here for 18 years," here comes Viola just crashing into his shit, talking about, "I've been standing here too." Who cares? So what? What?
You know, it's interesting to me. We've learned.
If you haven't been doing what I've been doing on the shop room floor for X number of years, if you haven't been working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night, if you haven't been dealing with stuff and be working in gear oil grease and all the rest of it, doing potentially life-threatening work, shut up.
Yep.
Just shut it.
No, but you know what? One of the things that
Archie Bunker said it best: stifle yourself.
Damn. Well, you know, one of the things that intrigues me about this is we've learned about a lot of different tropes when it comes to women. We've learned about the difficulties of the working woman's life. We've learned about the difficulties of the stay-at-home mom's life. But even mentioning what men experience has got to be quickly silenced. As if men's experiences don't have any relevance there. I mean, I watched my grandfather work himself to nothing for 50 years, doing the same thing. And nobody ever asked if he liked it. Nobody asked if that's what he always wanted to do. Nobody cared as long as he brought a paycheck home. And I think in that respect, the film does capture that. Because when you watch the film, every Friday, his character comes back with his envelope, his money, his check, or whatever, his payment, and he brings home the obligatory supplies to the house. But that's like clockwork every week. And somehow people can't appreciate that kind of dogged year after year sacrifice might take a toll on men. Most people don't even recognize why men die earlier. Do you know how many mothers how many big mamas I've met to random families who all had their husbands die decades ago, and nobody seems to draw a net together as to why this is happening. It's just treated as that's just a given.
Thomas,
listen, it's so funny. Listen. I've actually talked to women about this. They'll say, "Oh yeah, well, women live longer than men," as if to say that women live longer than men because they're built better and they're healthier. And I'm going to explain to several women, you don't get it. Men die earlier because we're on the front line. Okay. It's not women out there building bridges. Women are welding steel oil lines, 2 miles beneath the sea, all right? It's men that are doing this. And I actually saw a statistic today. I think it was like, as far as suicides were concerned, 80% of suicides, men. Infantry deaths, as far as wars are concerned, it's a 97-3 men. This is why men die earlier. It has nothing to do with female superiority and everything to do with the male lifestyle and the male conundrum.
That's a fact.
That's
and
right.
you know something?
Now, let me follow that up. Let me follow that up by what Tom Likas said, the famous talk show host, the professor. Tom Likas said that men have to work every day of their lives until they are dead. Okay?
These are facts.
That's what he said. He said that until you are dead. So as far as and that was the reason why he argued that marriage wasn't a good deal for most men, because you have to work yourself until you're dead, and then you have to put up with a whole bunch of yin yang from an unappreciative wench of a wife.
That's right.
Now, and on that note, let me bring in Alan Roger Curry. Alan Roger Curry.
Oh,
there he is.
Oh,
what's happening, fellas?
What's going on, AFC?
Hey, Alan Roger
What's going on?
Curry is in the building.
Oh man, I gotta love you, Obsidian, man. You always give me that enthusiastic welcome, man. I don't really know I came in late, so I don't know what we're talking about right now.
We're talking about black women fuckery, man. You know what it is.
Okay, so same old, basically.
There it is.
Well, now, I don't know if you've seen the movie, Alan, but I know you've heard about it. Denzel Washington has taken it upon himself, him and famed director Antoine Fuqua, they teamed up yet again to do an adaptation of the famous playwright August Wilson's Fences. So we've been talking about that. We've been talking about the show Insecure by Issa Rae, and we're about to jump off into some other things. We've been waiting for you to join us. You've worked in Hollywood. We are joined on the line with Professor Tia Stein Johnson, Donovan Sharp, and we're waiting for Hardcore Tito to join back in. And we've been talking about these different things in the context of relationships and mating and whatnot, particularly but not exclusively limited to Black American contemporary life. And the last time we talked, Alan, we had a very interesting conversation that actually ended up spilling over into my podcast show, and a lot of guys really resonated with what we were talking about. So really quickly, and I want to get Donovan and the professor's take on this. Me and Alan Roger Curry, last time me, Alan, and Hardcore Tito got together, Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story, had just come out. And I had made the case as to why I didn't intend to see the movie. And in short, my argument was that Star Wars had jumped the PC shark, and based on that, in the previous Star Wars movie, I didn't want no parts of it. I was done with the franchise. It was alien to me. I can't get with this Mary Sue-ism and all the rest. And so Alan chimed in. He agreed with me. And then he had some very interesting insights about a TV show called The Walking Dead, and in particular, one character named Negan. And so we talked about that. And that led into some even more discussions that me and Alan had since then. And we said we would revisit it tonight. We're going to get all you guys' takes on this. The Walking Dead, you all know what the show is, so I don't need to really go into it. But the bottom line is, me and Alan, we agreed that the show was very unrealistic because it didn't show sexual dynamics, mating dynamics, relationship dynamics in a shit hits the fan zombie apocalypse type scenario. There were almost no rapes being depicted. Nobody attempted to being raped. Negan has these multiple wives, but you don't actually see him interacting with them in any major way. In other words, fucking them. You don't see that happening. You don't see no type of interaction between the wives. None of this stuff. It's like Gilligan's Island with zombies, and that shit doesn't make any sense. So I'll hand it off to Alan from there.
Hey, Obsidian, is there a woman joining us on the line?
I don't see a woman there. You?
I heard for like a second and a half, I thought I heard a woman's voice. It sounded like she was in the kitchen or something. Somebody's making a lot of noise like in a room or a kitchen or something.
Yeah, you can hear it in the background.
One of the brothers got one of the
hey, look, I'll go. Look. Well, listen, hold on. Actually, I'll go ahead and fess up to that. I'm with a woman right now, and I'm in Philly, and she's making sausage and peppers, but I'll make sure she keeps it down.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Yep.
That's the appropriate position right there. Second only to be a bent
Listen,
over the
it's
couch.
the only position.
Yeah, second only to be bent over the couch. That's
that couch. There it is. There it is. Had a little bit of that earlier myself. So I ain't wanted to brag, but I'm just letting y'all know.
Okay, all right, brother. Sharp. Yeah, bend that woman over that couch. Don't be letting her cook no grilled cheese and shit in the kitchen.
Oh, no. Hey, look, ain't no grilled cheese in here, bro. You ain't got to worry about that. We got sausage and I think we're going to go sausage and peppers. Going to go with a little marinara going on. So, yeah, she can cook. She can cook.
Well, what's interesting, if you don't mind, before I go into Walking Dead again, I had an interesting exchange with a couple of sisters in the last few days, and it brought something really home to me. Now, I always say when I call into your show, I'm a little bit different because when I did my show up front and straightforward, I never really came to emphasize black female fuckery, even though I knew it, existed. But that said, see, I try to be objective with all women because I know all women got their fuckery. There's Asian female fuckery. There's Hispanic woman female fuckery.
Yeah. Women are women. Hey, they got a vagina. They're going to involve in fuckery, right?
Yeah, right. So it's the fuckery is all around.
Fuckery. You got Marisol fuckery. You got Mylin fuckery. You got whatever the Indian girl's name is fuckery. You got the Jewish Rachel fuckery. You got all of it.
Yeah. So the fuckery is all. Okay, wait a minute. I'm hearing that noise again. Hey, with all due respect, Sharp, can you tell her to chill out with that? It sounds like pans are banging against each other or something.
No, actually, she's quieted down. So I don't know where that's
okay, then it must be somebody else. Somebody else got a open line or something where somebody's
might
like...
need to mute your line if you're not talking.
It certainly is not me.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
But, on the subject of movies, there's a movie. Well, first there was a movie came out about the Obamas called South Side with You.
Right.
And a number of sisters was asking me, because I'm a major film buff, and as you mentioned, I worked in the entertainment industry, so, a lot of sisters hit me up on Facebook like, Alan, I want to know your opinion on Southside with You. Are you going to check it out? What's your thoughts? Blah, 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 blah. Now, another movie came out called Barry, which emphasizes a brief slice of Barack's life. But the interesting thing is, in the movie Barry, his primary love interest is a snow bunny. Or I'll be more formal, a Caucasian woman. Yeah.
I'll be goddamn.
And he's totally different. It's like and this is, to me, is almost more in line with what I've read about Barack, because in Barry, you see that he was one of those brothers that didn't, how I want to say it. He wasn't really connected with brothers and sisters. Yeah. And I want to say this period is probably what motivated him to become more connected with the black community. But interesting, he had a high degree of resentment against his father. He looked at his own father as an ain't shit black man. And one of my criticisms of President Obama, even though I do think he achieved certain things that are admirable, no doubt, but when it comes to offering his critique of the black community, I noticed he was always quick to criticize black men, but I don't remember him ever criticizing black mothers and black women in general.
Never.
Oh, hell no. Michelle would kick his ass.
So anyway, going back to this movie, I noticed the sisters that I talked to who wanted me really badly to see Southside with You, when I said, are you going to check out Barry, it was pretty much a resounding hell no. And one sister did watch part of it, and she said she turned it off. Which leads me to the conclusion, all these sisters that tell you that they love Barack Obama and he was the greatest president, they just love him to death, they full of shit. They love Michelle Obama. They love the first lady. Because if Barack Obama had ran for president with a Caucasian woman on his arm, or
my
even
God.
say a real light-skinned red bone on his arm, he wouldn't have been elected.
Hell no. Nope.
Alan.
Hell no.
You weren't here when we was talking about the sisterhood, and in particular the swirling sisterhood, Kristen and Karazin and her flying monkey. I was saying to the brothers that the only way, because they're always talking about colorism this, colorism that. They even talk about it with this new Denzel picture with Fences. Even though Viola Davis is an Emmy winner, she going to mess around and win an Oscar for her role in this movie Fences. But that don't matter. It's all about colorism this, colorism that. And I said to the brothers, the only way these sisters will accept you is if you get a Grace Jones circa 1983 high top fade and all. That's the only way they're going to accept you. Any other black woman,
high top fade.
1983, pull up to my bumper baby, they're going to say that you suffered from colorism, you're color struck, you hit yourself, your mama black, all this nonsense. You got to get the blackest, blackity black woman on planet Earth. And not only do you have to get the blackity black, you know what you got to get? You got to get Gaburi Sibide before she lost 100 pounds. That's the only way that you
my God.
love for black. Okay?
Hold up. Gaburi Sibide lost weight?
Yep, 100 pounds.
Wait, you said hold on. You talking about Precious, right? Precious lost 100 pounds.
That's right.
Precious.
100
Oh,
pounds.
damn.
That's right.
Obsidian, that's funny you mentioned that because,
I still wouldn't fuck her.
one of my last, what I would call serious relationships was with a woman who was a popular singer and songwriter, and if anybody Googles me, one or two of our pictures usually pop up because it was kind of semi-public relationship. I'm not going to mention her name, but she was a popular singer in the late 80s, early 90s. But anyway, I remember when me and her first started dating, and I posted a picture of us on Facebook. A lot of my Facebook friends was giving us love and stuff like, look like a very nice looking couple and blah blah blah. But a lot of sisters came at me because she's a red bone, and they were like, Alan, I thought you was down with the cause. You ain't down with the cause.
Shit.
I was like, what the fuck does that mean? They was
Right.
like, why you with that type of sister? Why you with that type
That's
of
what I'm
sister?
saying, man. Oh, my
And I
God.
was
You
like,
never
what?
make them happy, man.
Wait a minute. Y'all, please forgive me, but I haven't heard any of this about Fences. What exactly is the argument? What are they saying?
The argument is, okay, this is what happened, Professor. Denzel Washington was doing, you know how you do the movies come out, you do these junkets, you have to go and do the rounds of the interviews about the movie and all the rest of it. So he's doing an interview with a Indian chick. That's the other thing that really cracked me up. She wasn't even black. She was some Indian chick that works for BET, and she asked Denzel about colorism, and he didn't understand what she meant at first. So he was like, "What do you mean colorism? You mean racism within the race itself?" And she said, "Yeah." And in particular, with regard to dark-skinned black actresses. And his response was, you can't always look to racism to explain why you ain't getting on. It might be because you're just not good enough. It might be because you're not prepared. It might, and then when I did my podcast on it, I said it might be because you're a bitch. A lot of black women are bitchy in terms of their behavior, their demeanor. Nobody wants to work with them. And I cited as a case of Monique, who is an Oscar winner. She couldn't get on the show Empire despite the fact that she's good friends with the director because she's a bitch. Nobody wants to work with her.
Yep.
And that happens a lot in black American life. As a matter of fact, we're going to be listening to a case in point in a minute, right after Alan makes his point. But I just want to explain that to you, Professor, that here you have Viola Davis, somebody who is an Emmy winner, somebody who is more than likely going to be, at the very least, nominated for an Oscar for Fences if she don't win it outright, and she's still bitching about colorism. This just goes to prove that no good deed goes unpunished when it comes to a whole lot of, not all of them, but a whole lot of black women. You can't do enough to please them. God damn, what more is Denzel supposed to do?
Listen, this is the quintessential example, and I think Alan said it best. It's not just black women fuckery. I mean, women are women, regardless. You know, they're all different culturally because, you know, where they're from, where they were raised, etc. But this is one of those basic red pill tenets that we all know. The more you give a woman, whether she's black, white, red, whatever the case may be, the more she's going to bitch about what she has, and then the more she's going to ask for. So it doesn't surprise me that Viola Davis is acting the way she's acting. This is how women are. The more they give, the less happy they are. This is why the worse you treat them, the better they treat you. This is basic math. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh, so this was Viola saying that.
So anyway, going back to Alan, you were saying, brother.
Oh, well, yeah, well, okay, so I guess I'm finished with that. The Obama piece, I was just saying that, a lot of these sisters, they feel of shit when they try to act like they got all this love for Barack. They really don't. Just about all of their love is for Michelle Obama, because they love him to the extent that he allowed a sister to get into the White House. And, you know, they'll forever love him for bringing a sister into the White House. But beyond that, they don't really love her. But, to reiterate what I talked about the last time I was on the show with The Walking Dead, for those that didn't listen and weren't part of the show, I was saying that, number one, I love the show. I love it because I think it's a step above many shows on TV right now. But I said, as much as I love the show, and I love the addition of this character named Negan, played by actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I was telling Obsidian and Tito, and I think who else was on? I don't know who else was on. That one of my criticisms, though, is that for this dystopian, post-apocalyptic time period they're in, I said the men and the women, but particularly the men, walk around a little bit too sexually content for my taste. Because I said, man, if you didn't have government rules to adhere to, you didn't have to worry about being charged with date rape or statutory rape or none of that. Man, these guys would be way more aggressive than they show these characters within the context of the story, man. I mean, they'd be at least be trying to grope some woman's ass, grab on her tits, something.
For sure.
And they just walking around like they ain't horny at all. And I was just saying, I'm sitting. I said, man, that's unrealistic, because my related argument is also that you were just talking about these women in society. A lot of women, man, they need to realize that one of the reasons why they're even allowed to be so fucking spoiled and entitled is because we've established a civilized society for them. But society wasn't always like this, and as Obsidian always says emphatically, it's going to come full circle when, as he puts it, the shit hits the fan. And I don't know, that could be 10 years from now, that could be 50 years from now, that could be 200 years from now. I don't know when that's going to be, when the shit hits the fan. But when it becomes uncivilized again, the women who are president are going to have to wake up. And they're going to be like, oh, shit, wait a minute. I'm not protected anymore by the government? Oh, my God. What am I going to do?
Oh, yeah, don't freak out.
But, these dudes, man, they're going to be trying to take the pussy. Because that's what dudes did back in the day. They didn't ask for the pussy. They didn't whine and dine for the pussy. They took the pussy. Unless that woman had a father who was willing to end his life in order to protect her, or a husband, or a protector.
Yeah.
Some type of protector, personal protector. But otherwise, man, dudes was going to take that pussy, man. And, So anyway, but other than that, I do like that show. I think it brings up, it shows a society that it kind of asks the question, okay, how would you be able to cope if there were no set rules, laid out by the government? If you basically, you and whoever you were close to, your personal group, had to essentially make up your own rules for survival. How would you handle that? Would you be able to handle that? And it asks that on a weekly basis, and that's why I like the show.
It's funny.